Here we are. It's a beautiful day, and I think we're going to build us a what do you call that? Compost bin. So that should be pretty fun. We're going to take this barrel here, pick that up for like 20 bucks, and take some of this. Hurts me to even say it. Some of this treated 2x4s that have gone up like 500% in price, and these are my last precious ones. And we're gonna build a, I'm just gonna need a sec here. I'm gonna be all right. It's just ridiculously priced lumber that we're gonna use to hold up a barrel that gets full of old food, but then it'll turn it into soil, and you know, we'll come out ahead based on my calculations with the price of lumber in the barrel. We'll come out ahead on the price of the soil in a good 20-25 years. So financial planning, that is my specialty. Across. About 35 high-ish. It's not perfect math, but 23 across by 35-ish. So I'm going to try to conserve as much lumber as possible. What I'm going to try to do here is just build a couple X's, one that's kind of short, one that's kind of tall, so that barrel will sit at an angle. And so when we go to pour food scraps in, you know, it's not sitting flat and the scraps fall out, so they'll kind of fall towards the bottom. We'll have some holes in it to allow it to breathe, and with that X frame, I'm hoping it'll be easy to roll the barrel to kind of roll the stuff around. We'll throw some worms in and see if we can get some dirt. The reason I don't want to put it just in contact with the ground is, well, I like making more work for myself than I need. But also, if I get it up off the ground, at least in my mind, it kind of cuts down on the rat problem. I've seen rats eat through metal barrels, and nobody ever believes me, but I've seen it. They'll dig holes under the barrels and start biting their way through. And also having this up off the ground, I think it'll make it easier to rotate that thing and get more air, you know, circulating through that whole barrel, which will, who's the scientist here, I think that should help with the decomposition process, which is the whole point of this barrel, is to decompose, you know, food and turn it back into soil as quick as possible. So I'm cross fingers there. So I got to figure out how to make a couple X's that'll support the barrel, and then a couple cross beams, and it should pretty much be a very fast, easy project. So we'll see how that goes. So I think what I want is I want my screw to be here. Both these guys. And that should be a pretty good angle. So we'll put one screw through and kind of mock it up on the drum. See if that's the way I want to do it, with on both sides having the screw go through at the 23 inches. Eyeball out math, that means it'll be wide enough to hold up that barrel. We could probably go higher up, but less of this would contact the barrel. I want as much barrel contact as we can get. Okay, your barrel will fit in that crotch there. And then when we cut the shorter one, we'll just line it up with this. That's the easiest way to eyeball it. Let's try it up against the barrel, see how it looks. The barrel certainly ain't going to go anywhere. So I like using screws. We can always unscrew this and do it different later. Well, I'm tempted to just leave them both the same length and just widen out one of the legs to make it sit down farther. That's what I'm going to do. I just don't think having a little 10-inch scrap is going to do me any good. Okay, farther. We'll go a complete 90 degrees, and that'll make this one sit lower than the other one did. This is the outside. I went about 90 degrees on both these. One of these is going to have to be way wider or way shorter. I'm not going to be able to connect these guys because the legs are the same length, so I'm actually have to do some math here. You believe that? So here's how I'm going to eyeball this one. I'm going to have these sitting in the same cross. I'm just going to cut an equal amount off each leg on the bottom there, like I was going to do originally. Thought I could get sneaky, I was wrong. Yeah, that'll be better. Girl. Ain't going nowhere. Just like my carpentry career. Some have called my methods terrifying. My methods are not appropriate many times. And I wouldn't say my building style is wild or wonderful. But that is solid enough and it ain't going nowhere. Perfect. I think that's good enough for now. It's kind of fun about doing this just off the cuff, seat of your pants style stuff. You're going to learn a lot about why things are done the way they're done or not done the way they're not done. And it's relatively low risk, which is good. This guy, twist like that. Yeah, these legs will definitely bind on me, so I'm going to have to reinforce down at the bottom here. But I also want it to reinforce in the rear corner. So I'm just kind of making it up as I go along. Oops, and the good thing is I can do that. Ain't nobody here to stop me. You got to remember, you know, social media and YouTube and Etsy, that's not real life, man. So it's okay to just do it yourself. Build it kind of wonky, learn from your mistakes. This thing ain't gonna win no design awards, but as you do it this way, it allows you to kind of learn about what you're doing, and through that you gain so much more than just, at least in my mind, just following somebody else's way of doing things. I mean, I've already figured out like 4 ways to improve this just by kind of building it and slopping it together. Maybe I'm wasting a little money by doing it that way, but it's okay. You know, education is valuable. And if I just followed somebody else's design, I never learned nothing. So yeah, we definitely need more reinforcement here. I can already kind of see that's a little wobbly. That worked so good, I'm gonna do the other side too. And this backstop I kind of made out of little scrap pieces. I've already figured out I want to extend this up and just do one piece across. The project continues. That's a lot sturdier. All right, let's go find some food waste now that it's started raining. That's a good one there.
Stanky. You got some of this old compost.
Throw that shovel from her.
I don't know, I mean, it'll depend on the season and the temperature and everything, how quickly that breaks down once you stop adding stuff to it.
Stink real good.
You know, it could be 2 weeks, could be a month, could be 3 months.
Get us some worms.
The old compost pile right here. Of course, once it's composting, it creates its own heat. Alright, so something else to note is that it's a big slug. We're going to take it out. Most of this was kitchen scrap, so that's high nitrogen stuff.
That's a banana slug.
No, it's not. It's something else. You need a balance of... it's not a banana slug, but anyways, nitrogen and carbon when you're composting. It's your greens and your browns. So the kitchen scraps is pretty much pure nitrogen. But then we had wood shavings from the chick brooder. So the wood shavings are going to be carbon, high carbon, plus the poop and the spilled food is nitrogen. So, and then there's a little bit of straw in here from the old compost. So that should be a good balance of the nitrogen and carbon going on in there.
And the bugs.
Tons of worms and all kinds of other microbes from the existing compost pile where I took this out of. So that should be a real good start.
Good worm. Look at the worms and bugs. That doesn't stink so bad now. I'm lying, it stinks really bad.
The super stank is anaerobic fermentation, which, because the stuff was just sitting in a 5-gallon bucket with no holes or anything, it gets too much moisture and it becomes anaerobic. That's what stinks real bad. You do get other microbes in anaerobic fermentation that are helpful though, so it's kind of good to, something that I learned from my brother, shout out to my brother, you can ferment your compost first by, it'll just happen naturally, but you can add some kind of lactic acid bacteria inoculant. I've used my sourdough starter. You could use like whey from fermenting dairy products, but if you do some fermentation first and then throw it through your compost, it breaks down super, super fast. So that's kind of my goal going forward too, is to introduce some of that fermentation into there. So there you go.
Now we know science things, which is really important when you plan out your compost, what's this thing called? Barrel holder, really far in advance, and have it completely planned out before building it, and don't eyeball anything and cut everything perfectly and make it a perfect structure that everybody on Etsy is going to go crazy about.
Yeah, that's Micah's way of doing things for sure.
That's how we do it. And it's going to be just fine. Don't at me, bro. Okay, so after building the framework and getting everything set up and all that, and filling it full of compost, I really wanted to be able to roll the barrel easier so that we can really mix around the contents in there and hopefully speed up the decomposition process. So I ran down and just picked up some really cheap wheels, some caster wheels on little ball bearings. They can kind of rotate and stuff. So I'll put the camera down and you can kind of see how this works. A little more. Hey. So it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. You know, so I'll probably be making more of these in the future. This basic setup seems to work. Maybe I'll make a square one, because it was actually harder to make this X frame than I thought it would be. It kind of looks tippy. It's not. Because I've got supports going down, but it also used more lumber than I thought it would. So I might be able to come up with a more simple way of doing it, and then, you know, we can have a good 3 or 4 barrels in rotation, and that way we constantly have a supply of fresh dirt, because like Andre was saying, it can take a couple weeks or a month for this stuff to break down. So I think being able to rotate it, having it off the ground so we get lots of airflow around it and in it, and getting lots of good worms in there and getting that fermentation tea stuff in there, this will all make us dirt really fast. And yeah, after building 4 of those, you know, like I said, about 25 years to pay it off, you know. I'm always trying to figure out how people are like have popular vlogs or blogs or podcasts or whatever about homesteading and farming, how they do it, because this stuff's really expensive, and I think I figured out the secret. It's being obscenely wealthy. So that's something I'm going to work on here in the coming weeks, seeing if we can't just have a bunch of wealth. Yep, so there's a lesson for you. Social media is a complete lie. So if you didn't know that, hey man, keep that in mind. Don't get depressed when you see people doing perfect projects. They're not perfect. You are good enough. So yeah, hey, there's my inspiration for the day. You're good enough. Go out and do the project. Social media is a lie. Just do it, and do it imperfect, and learn from your mistakes, and be kind to each other. All right, that's it. We're gonna go farm stuff.